Well, it's that time of year again. Work is wound down and everyone's out enjoying the party season. So in light of this, we think it's time for a quick safety message about drug-facilitated sexual assault, or, as it's known to most people, date rape. The vast majority of reported incidents of date rape will occur between a Thursday and a Monday, so obviously it's something that occurs when you go out partying. However, there are some common misconceptions about this nasty social phenomenon that really need to be brought to light. To help us out with this, we spoke to Dr. Helen Parker of the Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine. Dr. Parker, along with two colleagues, conducted a year-long study into the prevalence of date rape in Melbourne back in 2003.
So we did a retrospective study over a one-year period, and we looked at all the cases of sexual assault where we'd been called to examine a victim or a complainant. Now, there are roughly 430 odd cases. Out of those 430 cases, we identified 76 people who alleged that the assault had occurred in the setting of being impaired. And out of the 76 cases, we found 15 cases where we found in the toxicology screening a drug which we weren't expecting to find.
95% of people in this study were women between the ages of 15 and 35, and in 2006, 1,572 sexual assault victims of this demographic reported to Victorian Police. So based on Dr. Parker's study, it would be expected that less than 50 of these victims were potentially drink spiked. This means that deliberate drugging by an attacker is pretty infrequent, and the reality is that more conventional methods of attack like coercion and brute force are still much more common. In addition, the usual suspects, Rohypnol and GHB, were not detected once. However, GHB doesn't stay in your system long and it's difficult to detect.
If we were to do a readback calculation, we were finding that many of these people would have had a blood alcohol at the time in the vicinity of 0.2%. And we know that that's a very high level. So I guess you could infer that in a lot of these cases, just their alcohol concentration in itself would be enough to account for their symptoms of perhaps blacking out and not remembering what had happened to someone.
So according to the study, the most powerful and commonly used date rape drug of all is alcohol. 76% of all date rape cases occurred when the victim was drinking, and as Dr. Parker said in her study, 37% of date rape victims had a blood alcohol concentration of 0.2%, which equates to over 20 standard drinks for the average woman. This is equivalent to 10 pints of lager, 3/4 of a slab, just under an entire bottle of vodka, 3 bottles of champagne, or 2.5 bottles of strong red. While it's certainly possible that a person's drink can be simply spiked by adding stronger alcohol, in general these numbers would suggest an unhealthy disrespect for just how risky heavy drinking can be. In conjunction with copious amounts of booze, there were also lots of recreational and prescription drugs floating around in people's systems, which would clearly leave them even more inebriated. This isn't moderate drinking, this is a bender. And just as the chances of getting in a fist fight or walking in front of a car go up when you get wasted, so does your chance of being sexually assaulted. Of additional interest is the type of person that spikes drinks and where they do it.
The alleged perpetrator is someone who is known to the victim. Most frequently classified perhaps as a recent acquaintance, so perhaps someone that they might have met that evening or in recent times. Again, we do see some people where they think it may have been a complete stranger, but not infrequently it is someone who is known to the victim.
So what's the official line on drink spiking?
Look, generally there's a public perception out there that drink spiking is particularly linked to drug-facilitated sexual assaults. The police experience, from our statistics and from our operational experience, doesn't really support that myth, that theory. It's more a case of people just taking copious amounts of alcohol. Look, if you're going out with a group of friends, just talk amongst yourselves as to just plan for the night. Exchange phone numbers, know where each one's going to be. Don't go home without telling your friends. Look out for each other. Don't leave drinks unattended. Don't accept drinks from strangers that are in an open glass. Always have them in a closed bottle or receptacle. And just have your wits about you. And probably, as I said earlier, just be aware that the marketing of alcohol these days, the drinks are very easy to drink, and alcohol, with its effects on the body and the brain, it can just hit you like that.
So in conclusion, be careful around alcohol, as it's the main contributor to date rape. As for that pill-dropping predator, we aren't saying it doesn't happen, but it's probably fairly uncommon. So forget about the media beat-up. Take care of what you put into your own body.